Hello, hello, hello. It is me, Tarotzahara, the one, the only. Sorry I did not post yesterday. I had a little bit of a malfunction. It has been resolved, and so I am here. So let's jump right into it. We are doing swords tonight. Okay, so starting with the ace. The ace, you see that, I mean, come on, that it looks like an erect penis. I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to get nasty, but you get the idea. I mean, it looks like what it is, right? It is a card of power. It's a card of either the beginning stages or the full maturity of a powerful, someone being powerful in a certain situation. It is a card of virility and fertility, and it could either mean a great love or an intense hatred. Sometimes surgery should show like that. Or surgery that will have the requisite outcome, the outcome that you're trying to get. Okay, and then when you reverse it, you've got either a great force that has a significant negative outcome, or it could be weakness or loss of power or ability or mobility or competence. If this comes up at the time of surgery, don't do it. That would be a bad Mars day or whatever, and it would not, the surgery would probably have a very negative outcome. So watch that with surgeries. And then we have our two. A blindfolded character. Gee, I wonder what that means. The Two of Swords is about blind judgment. Okay, so it's kind of like the Judgment card in that they're both blindfolded, justice is blind and all that. But this is more about a person who's trying to make a decision or has made a decision or will make a decision without being in total possession of the facts. It can signify, in some cases, a person that can't or refuses to see the truth. Also legalities, stalemates, either between people on opposing sides or within one person. Like it could be that you have a decision to make and it's equal on both sides, so you don't really know which decision to make. As the reader, it is your job to find out what they are not in possession of. So you've got to figure out what they're avoiding. This is really hard when it's yourself, because every single person who's ever read tarot cards for themselves has come across a situation where they're just, I don't know about anybody else, but it looks like Greek to me when it's for me. I have no idea what it's trying to say sometimes, because I have my denial and my blind spots just like everybody else. And so it's harder when you're dealing with it yourself to see what the missing piece of the puzzle is. It's easier when it's somebody else. So sometimes if you just find out what the missing piece of the puzzle is, the decision makes itself. Okay? But then when you reverse it, it would be lies, hidden truth, fear of the truth, disloyalty, a situation where somebody plays two people against each other, or like a double agent, someone who's like, oh, Jill says you're a jerk, and I think she's totally wrong. You're really nice. And then you're talking to Jill, and you're like, yeah, Joanne says that you're really a jerk, and I don't know what she's talking about. I think you're really nice. Excuse me. So it can be, someone who's playing both sides of the fence. Okay, so you want to be very careful of this one. Now the three. First of all, you've got blood, right? So blood always, like wine shows as blood, blood shows as blood. And, you know, I don't think that it doesn't almost ever mean actual blood. It's more like a metaphor, right? For like something that really cuts you. So with the Three of Swords, this is the primary sword, is the one that's going up the middle or down the middle. And then there's these other two. And so it's really sort of about interference and people interjecting themselves in situations they don't belong. Certainly, infidelity would show as the Three of Swords. Heartbreak would show as the Three of Swords. Heart attacks, breakups, sometimes fighting, things that come in and settle unhappy unions or a situation. Certainly, love triangles. And then when you reverse it, it actually goes in a completely different direction. Then it's more about all of this smoke here. I always think of it reversed as smoke and mirrors, you know, where you just can't tell what's really true because there's all this stuff like in there trying to like mess with your brain, and so that you can't really tell. So it could certainly be a breakdown of affairs of the heart, seemingly for no reason, loss, endings, etc. But mostly this is a card of confusion, deliberate or otherwise. Okay, and 4. Now 4, this one, you know, because I've got just the heads because I'm blind as a bat. This character is laying in repose. Now, it's certainly a card of sleep and a card of introspection, self-imposed exile, but it's for good reasons. Like it could be that, you know, you feel like you're just not, some days the words just don't come out right and you just don't want to upset anybody, and maybe you've already upset a few people, and so you're just like, you know what, I'm just withdrawing from everybody until my head gets right, you know? So when it's upright, the best thing to do is to observe the situation by meditation or observing internally. Allow the situation to sort of mature without your input until you can take more effective action. And of course, sleep or unconsciousness. When you reverse it, it can be exile, like a self-imposed exile again, but this time it wouldn't be for good reasons. Like right side up, you know, it's a wise thing to do, but right side up, it's like maybe you're chicken, maybe you don't want to face something. It could be that you're just, you know, you're weak and you just don't want to deal with the confrontation. It could be a refusal to deal with yourself. It can be banishment. And when I say banishment, it could be someone banishing you or you banishing somebody else. Looking outward for clarity when you should be looking inward. And sometimes it shows as a timely warning coming from someone more informed than yourself. We've all had that situation where, you know, out of nowhere, someone just says something that just seems really weird and out of place, and you're like, where did that come from? I don't even know what they're even talking about, you know? And then later it turns out that the person actually maybe didn't even know what they were talking about either, but it was something that you needed to hear. Okay. Number 5. Okay. The 5 of Cups, the 5 of Swords is the sort of agree to disagree sort of vibe. It's like when everyone decides to just lay down their weapons in battle, you know, the fight has been fought. Nobody's going to win. Everybody's going to lose. There's no point in really even continuing. It's just about a refusal to even participate. Once you've stopped fighting, sometimes there's room for your opponent to stop as well. Someone has to say, we will agree to disagree. Okay? When you reverse it, it's just the opposite. It's like people who just won't let something go. Oh my God, don't you hate that? Like, you get, somebody, you have words with someone, it's a minor thing, you apologize, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, blah, 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 and then they just harp and harp. It's like that kind of thing. It's someone who just will not let go of something. And that can have a lot of different, keep in mind with all of this, that these can all have a lot of different, meanings. Like, you can't adhere exactly to the words. Like, you have to kind of give some latitude to the words. So like a refusal to participate, for example, could be, someone just standing there like, no, not going to. But it could also be someone who, I don't know, is having period cramps and just doesn't, just isn't feeling it to play tennis or whatever, right? Like, that's a whole different animal. So you got to give a lot of latitude to these words. And especially with the minors. The minors are a little bit less precise than the majors. Okay. But this is the agree. Oops. This is the agree to disagree. This is the refusal to disengage. Okay. Or it could be somebody who just likes a fight, or someone who just needs to fight. Like, some people have like a very low tolerance for intimacy. And so when things get too comfortable or too close or something, they just pick a fight because the peace is just too hard to take. So that is your 5. 6. The 6 is sort of like the 6 of rods or the chariot, but it's by water. It's not on land, right? So, this card certainly signifies travel. That could either be travel to a geographical location, usually by water, or emotional travel, meaning, we've all been there when you're in a relationship with someone and the other person is just not there, right? They're physically there, but they're not there. Like, okay, and this can be moving on to smoother waters. That's what it's supposed to be. Because it's supposed to be that the water that they're coming from is choppy over here, and the water where they're going is smooth. Okay? And so, it's supposed to be moving on to smoother waters, but it isn't always. Okay. And there are some indications of sickness, shame, or loss first before things, start turning around. And then when you reverse it, I don't know where this even came from, but I learned it as proposals of love. Sometimes, but mostly for me, it's going from a period of smooth water into a period of rough water, right? So you're going the wrong way. So it's sort of saying the path you've chosen is going to be difficult. So either change course or buckle in your seatbelt because it's going to get messy. Or it can be an inability to change direction or an inability to travel. Okay. And here's your 7. The 7 of Swords is all about power, okay? In this card, the issue of power is of utmost importance. Mainly, this is a card of trying to gain power, sometimes through questionable action. Also, someone who tries to rob power from another person with sneaky intent, or trying to, trying or succeeding at something sneaky, an unethical person or a situation, or taking just taking what they want. But right side up, it's like taking your power back, right? And that's usually the way I read this. Like, sometimes the other person won't give you any power and you have to take it, or you're just going to be powerless, and that's ridiculous. But when you reverse it, it's more about theft. So You set down your engagement ring, you can't find it. Where is it? Got stolen. Theft, sometimes something that's been deliberately stolen, sometimes not. Maybe you just grab, I had it happen to me one time at a restaurant. The valet guys put somebody else's car key in my car. It was years ago when we stuck keys in cars, but, and we didn't realize it. The car was running and we got home and realized we did not have our house keys. Some say that this is a card of good advice or instruction. It can, on occasion, prove to be true, but in my experience, I would say not very often. So I'm teaching you what I'm supposed to teach you, and I'm teaching you what has been my experience as well. You should always take notes. I don't know if I've discussed this or not. When you're going through your 24-hour spread the day after, which I hope you guys are still doing, please, please, please be still doing that. If you are going through your 24-hour spread 24 hours later, and you go, oh, okay, that's what that is, I get it now, blah, 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 right? Like, there are going to be times that the card is telling you something very clearly and you get that. But it's not what I've taught and it's not what's in the book. And in a situation like that, jot it down. Write that down in your notes. Add it to, the notes that you take in class, which hopefully you guys are still doing. So that, because apparently the cards are trying to tell you that that's the way they want to explain that thing to you. Okay? So everybody has certain cards that just mean something to them that it doesn't mean to any other reader. And that's perfectly okay. I mean, we all have our own brains. We all have our own experiences. We've all had our own lives. We have to read based on what works for us, not what's correct, right? I mean, it's an art form. It's not, it's an art form. It's not math where this is right and this is wrong. I mean, you can certainly take a wrong turn. And I hate it when that happens. When you're going along and you're chugging along just right and you know exactly where you're going and you make one wrong call and it just diverts everything after that to somewhere that doesn't work. But we're not going to talk about that because we're going to assume that that's not going to happen to us. Okay, so on to the Eight of Swords. Okay, now the character in the Eight of Swords is, it's considered hoodwinked. You are blindfolded and bound. There is nothing you can do. You couldn't even see to do it if you wanted to. And you can also see, if you look really close, that you can't speak either. So, I mean, you're pretty much tied up here. So, certainly bondage, blindness, and that doesn't necessarily mean someone who's legally blind or someone who's functionally blind. It could just be that you're being blind in a situation. An inability to see your way out of a situation in which you just feel trapped, and the thing is, like, we all get there where we get ourselves stuck. And anybody around us can understand what we need to do, but we just can't see it. And they may even try and tell us. And we go like, yeah, whatever. Or we're like, yeah, thank you, but we're not going to do it because we don't see it ourselves. But that's what this thing is. It would certainly suggest restriction from normal activity. It could also be, medically, it could be problems with circulation. It could be your problems with breathing or digestive problems, anything that, gets gunked up, stuck, right? Restrictions, lack of mobility, It could be an affliction to the limbs or the extremities. There are no real hard and fast rules about exactly what this means because it's one of those really broad cards that can come up in a million different ways. But whatever it is, it's going to be restrictive, and it's gonna feel like an affliction. Miscarriages also, by the way, can show as the Eight of Swords or the Eight of Swords reversed. And then when it's reversed, it would be more like accidents, like something you don't see coming or that you can't prevent, right? Death can sometimes show, but if a death shows like this, it's going to be a really peripheral death. It wouldn't be like your best friend or your spouse or your child or someone that you really love. It would be like, I don't know, somebody at work that you don't know very well or something, right? The blindfold is significant in this position because it indicates that which you can't see, accidents, etc. This position could simply be a lesser degree of what's indicated in the upright position, or it could be worse. So, you'll know by the other cards around it. If everything looks fine and then this comes up and then everything looks like murder, death, kill afterwards, then you know, like, which way that's going. Okay. Nine of Swords. This one, I'm trying to think what the rider weight looks like. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but this one just really hits me between the eyes. Like, I always feel like my life has been one situation of being stuck with someone I don't want to deal with after the next. I mean, nothing for nothing. If I don't want to deal with them, they know I don't want to deal with them. But it's like a card of power struggles. It could be within you. It could be within the person that you're reading for, if you're reading for somebody else. But it's definitely power struggles. Or it could be overwhelming fears or hardships that are more of an emotional nature than physical, okay? Because this is definitely a card of stress, 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 stress. So disappointment, distress, stress, anguish, sorrow, deceit, blah, 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 blah. When you reverse it, it could be one-sided power struggles. Like, boy, do I have someone in my life who loves to start power struggles with me when I'm just like, what? What are you even talking about? Like, someone who just wants the power struggle with you and you don't even have to do anything and it happens anyways, right? It could be suspicion or an intensification of the right side up position. This is a very, very, very significant degree of stress. This is a concerning degree of stress. And when you get this, when you're reading for someone, you really, really need to identify what the real stressor is. And they may not know, or they may not know how to articulate it, or they may not want to tell you. There's always some jackass that thinks that they're going to outsmart the psychic by not telling you something that's really critical, or by lying about something. Like, stupid, but whatever. Okay, people do it. But this is just a very, very significant degree of stress, and it's pretty much almost unbearable at this point. And then the 10. More blood. Okay. Now, for me personally, I got hit by a car when I was in my 20s. I have back problems, right? This one always shows when I've got a back problem coming up. It is certainly betrayal. All these swords would be different betrayals. It could be different people betraying you. It could be different betrayals from one person, but it would be a very significant amount of betrayal, and it would hurt like hell. Okay, so that 10 of Swords is certainly a card of violence and things that cut, and betrayals by a trusted friend or a family member, a spouse, whatever. But it is a card of intense and very real pain, okay? But when you reverse it, that's like a perceived pain. Like maybe someone didn't betray you, but you're convinced that they did. So your pain is just as real as if they did, but they didn't. But it's a perceptual card, right? Some of these cards are perceptual, just how you perceive it. It can also be just like an insurmountable amount of pain. Like I always have pain with my back, big deal, that's my life. But there are days where, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to sit here and that's all I'm going to do, because the more I move, the worse this is going to get. And I'm not doing it to myself. I'm going to be nice to myself. So, it's just an unbearable amount of pain, or it's a perceived pain that's not real. But you think it is. It's not like hypochondria. Well, maybe it is. I guess maybe it would be hypochondria, but it wouldn't be like a kid saying, "Oh, mommy, my throat hurts," because they don't want to go to school because they've got a math test or something. You know what I'm saying? It would be, the person who feels this does feel it. It's not like a lie or made up or something, right? Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think the next one, I'm going to do another sample spread, because I have a client who has given me her okay to discuss a situation that she had. And, names will be changed to protect the innocent and the guilty and everybody else. But I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. So I think I'll lay it out there, and I will show you guys what this stuff looks like in tarot cards, and it could be pretty interesting. So I think that'll be the next one, and then we'll pick up the you know what? No, let's pick up those court cards. Let's do the court cards really fast before I do that, and then it's going to keep us a little bit more on schedule. Okay. Page of Swords. I love the Page of Swords. I don't know if anybody else who's watching this is a fan of F. Scott Fitzgerald or The Great Gatsby, but in The Great Gatsby, there is a billboard for an ophthalmologist, and it's like two eyes with glasses on it, right? And Fitzgerald keeps referring to the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg as if they were like the eyes of God watching, and that is the Page of Swords. I love this card. I love this card. This is probably my favorite card in the deck. Because when it's right side up like this, it's like the universe is saying, we gotcha, do it, do it, do it. And it's gotcha, it's gonna help you. When it's reversed, it's like, do it, I dare you. Ooh, you don't wanna do that one, right? And so with the Page of Swords, to me, and just, I think maybe some other people feel this way, but maybe it's just more specific to me because I have such a connection to that story and to the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg. But this is like whether the universe is in favor or very much not in favor of something that you are doing, or that you are going to do, or that you're contemplating doing. This is a really good indicator. This thing is your best friend. It'll tell you everything you need to know. There is our page. Okay, and the Knight of Swords. Here's the Knight of Swords. Okay. He has a really wide range of significance. On the one hand, it could signify the approach of a gallant and romantic man, right? It's a knight. It should be a man or a young man. On the other hand, he may simply be, I seem to have lost a page here. Anyways, on the other hand, He may just be someone who's aggressive or in a big damn hurry. And you kind of want to know the difference before you step any further into this character sphere, right? But, and here's the big but. If it's reversed with the death card right side up, that is death. That is real, actual, physical, car accident, shot in the head, whatever, death. Okay, so you really want to keep an eye on this guy. I have seen the Knight of Swords reversed with the death card right side up not be a death, and I've seen it be a death. When it's not a death, it could have been. It's like when I got hit by the car, right? My mother was an astrologer, and she saw the thing coming she saw it in January, like the previous January, and it happened in November, late November, right? And she said, blah, 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 these are the circumstances. If you do this, you will not live, period. If you don't do it, you'll live, but you'll never be the same again, right? And so it could be a situation like that where it's like, you are in extreme peril here. You may not die, but you might. And this is something you really, really need to take a very close look at. Otherwise, it could be chauvinism. It could be destructive tendencies. It could be single-mindedness that manifests as selfishness or extravagance or. But he's a very unpleasant character reversed and a very pleasant character, although albeit maybe in a bit of a hurry, right side up. He moves fast. This guy moves fast. Okay. And then I'm going to do the King and Queen together. The King and Queen of Swords, right? They are... No, I'm not. She is... I changed my mind, sorry. She is the Queen of Mourning. She has seen stuff. She has done stuff. She certainly, has a certain amount of power. Or sometimes specifically a lack of power that she should have that she doesn't have. But the Queen of Swords knows the kind of pain that only women know. She knows the pain of a stillbirth or, being barren or miscarriages or having been abused or something along those lines. She becomes part of the cycle of abuse when you reverse her, right? So this way, I don't want to say overcome, because does a person ever overcome abuse? I mean, you learn from it, you grow from it, and hopefully you somehow end up better from it, but the scars will always remain, right? But in this position, like reversed, she becomes part of it. It's like when you hear of, the rapist who was raped himself when he was a child. The cycle of abuse. My dad beat my ass when I was your age, and so therefore I'm going to beat yours. Like, cycle of abuse. She is a very sorrowful character, right? Reversed. Right side up, she's more... she's overcome a lot. She's grown a lot. She's probably accomplished a lot. And whatever power she wields, she's earned. And then reversed, you just want to make sure somebody takes that power away from her, because it is not going to end up good for anybody. She is a very sad character. And it's one of those things where, like, if you don't know her story, if you don't know what she's reacting to, you'll just hate her. Like, she'll just be an awful person. But then when you kind of find out, like, where she came from, what made her the way she is, sometimes you just don't have the stomach to dislike her anymore. Like, because you're just like, the poor thing, like, how would I have ended up if something like that had happened to me? You know, I mean, we've all had our heartbreaks. We've all had, no life is without pain and without suffering, but there's pain and then there's pain. So, okay. And last but not least, our king. The king somehow manages to not be, I don't want to use the word victim. I don't like that word. He's got the power, you know? He's masculine, he's in control, all that, you know, alpha male kind of stuff that's genuine. That's not like for show. He's not playing games. He may still cry at sad movies, but this is a guy that's got power and wields it. He knows what he's doing. He sees what he's doing clearly, and he acts clearly. But when you reverse him, then, God, what is stuck on my lips? So sorry. But then when you reverse him, it's like he can't get enough power. He's power hungry. He's, you know, one of these, like, we've all known that, like, middle manager who really doesn't have any power except for maybe over 2 people. And they just abuse that power to pieces because they want power and that's all they've got. And it's very sad. But they are both reversed. They're both distrusting. They are both unfair. They're both judgmental and generally mean, and they generally have bad intent. Conspiracies and stuff like that would fall under the king or the queen reversed. Okay, so let's call that it for now, and let's come back and do that, the sample reading next. And as always, if you learned anything, if you liked what you heard, if you see any value to it, please drop a like. Last week, I guess when my video posted, it posted without sound. And I think it was like 4 days before anyone told me about it. You can leave comments. Like, I'm not going to eat you, I promise. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you want to do. I will respond to your comments, I promise. And the next one should be fun.